we did a No Hats tour with me and Marty Stewart, and that was set up for two reasons. First of all, I didn't wear a hat because I was trying to set myself apart. Second reason, and more practical reason, was I had all this hair back then. And I thought, well, now, why in the hell would I want to cover all that up? So it was basically just trying to, I was not trying to make any kind of statements against cowboy hats. I love cowboy hats. Still wear one from time to time these days.
But where was there someone to say to you, Travis, you got a lot of talent, but if you're going to make it in country music, man, you've either got to have a hat or the jeans or the traditional ostrich or other size boots.
Yes.
You got to have two of those three to make it. Now, somebody must have said that to you.
As a matter of fact, Waylon Jennings, on one of the albums that we did, one of the songs that we did, I did a song called Old Outlaws Like Us. And I got Hank Williams Jr. and Waylon both to come in and sing on this song that I had written. And at the very end of it, as the song's tailing off, Waylon says in a clear voice, Travis, you may be the best, but I think you need a hat.
So let's talk about The Whiskey Ain't Working, which made your duet with Marty Stewart.
Yes.
Talk about that, and also talk about your friendship with Marty Stewart, which everybody who knows you knows is maybe your most important friendship outside your wife.
Marty Stewart is a brother from another mother for me. We first met as a result of that song. He had written that song with a guy by the name of Ronnie Scaife here in Nashville. And they had pitched it, I think, to Hank Williams Jr. and some other people, and nobody bit. And they pitched it to me, and first time I heard it, I fell in love with it. And I always loved talking to Marty because his knowledge of country music history is almost encyclopedic. I mean, it's extremely good because he's been around forever. I kid people all the time. I said, you know, I've been listening to Marty Stewart since I was about that tall.
I'm sure he appreciates that. With the song, Here's a Quarter, tell me the story of that song.
I was married for my second time. I got married when I was 18 years old. That marriage lasted for about 2.5 years. I went right out of the frying pan into the fire, got into another relationship, got married again, and that one lasted about 4 years. And when I came home from work, I was working at a heating and air conditioning wholesale house. And I came home from work one day and the house looked like it'd been robbed. My wife had left me, she was gone. And so...
Like G-O-N-E, gone.
Yeah, gone, gone. And so I think it was a few days later, I got a knock at the door, and it was the local sheriff serving me with divorce papers. So as I sat down and started to go through these divorce papers, the phone rang. And it was my soon-to-be ex-wife calling me to basically say, you know, maybe we've rushed into this too quickly. Maybe maybe I left too quickly. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to put this behind us and try again. And I just, as I was reading through these papers and I was hearing what she was saying, I just had this overwhelming sense that I did not want to try it again. Too much water had gone under the bridge as far as I was concerned. And so I hung up the phone with her, and I was feeling pretty low, but I started having these lyrics that popped into my head. And I sat down and I wrote them. And they were the lyrics to Here's a Quarter. You say you were wrong to ever leave me alone, and now you're sorry and you're lonesome and you're scared. And you say you'd be happy if you could come back home. Well, here's a quarter. Call someone who cares. And I wrote that song never intending for anyone else to hear it. I wrote it for me. And every time that I would start feeling a little blue, I would sing that song to myself and I would chuckle to myself and go along with my day. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, I was at Billy Bob's, Texas. I was playing a house band gig there. And for some reason, one night in the middle of that show, something popped into my head and said, play that song. And I did, and there were several people from the local radio station, country radio stations there, and they all came up to me at the end of the night and they said, where can we get a copy of that? If we had a copy of that, we would add that song right now to our playlist. And I knew I had something special. Let's see, I think it's right over here. My old buddy Charlie Daniels, which I know you've already interviewed him before.
Charlie always wears the small hats. You don't wear any cowboy hat, or didn't. He always wears an oversized one.
The first time I met him, they wouldn't put our name on the marquee, and they put us, 5 of us, our whole band, they put us in a broom closet. How'd I know it was a broom closet? Because there was a big barrel of Zep sweeping compound, and it's tiny, and all they did was propped up a mirror up against the wall, and they gave us, for our quote-unquote catering, they gave us a cooler full of ice, a stack of Dixie cups, a 12-pack of Coca-Colas, and a pitcher of water, and that was it. So Charlie came down and introduced himself, and when he walked in and introduced himself, he looked at the room and he said, what is this room they've got you in? And I said, that's our dressing room, sir. And he said, I'll be damned. And he said, y'all wait right here, I'll be right back. And he left and he came back about 10 minutes later and he said, follow me. And so like a bunch of little ducklings following their mother down the hallway, he leads us to this big, huge room with double doors. And it was a room that you could have landed a plane in. And he opened it up and said, from now on, this is my dressing room, but from now on, it's your dressing room too. And it had a bar, a fully stocked bar on one side. The other side, they had a prime rib carving station. They had all of their equipment set up in the middle of the room so that they could rehearse and practice. And he just opened it up and said, share this with me. That's the kind of person Charlie Daniels always has been.
I was going to say, Daniels has a reputation of having a heart the size of a locomotive.
He really does. He really does. And he was the first person to really take me under his wing